Are you ready to go?
We start?
All right. Cool. This is Scott and Jeremy from the Mama Tried and Flat Out Friday podcast.
Is that what it's called now?
I think so. I don't know if we're not calling it Brap Yap anymore. I mean, it's a cool name, but it didn't really catch any traction. So I think that we should just focus on.
I agree. Making us more on brand.
Yeah. The moron brand.
Yeah, good bit. Anyway. My name's Jeremy too. Thanks for having me, Scott.
It's Tuesday, September 27th. We're a couple days after the AFT race. Well, I guess that's really the only thing that we have to cover today. It's still pretty heavy on our minds. It was a really big weekend. I would like to say that there was a whole bunch of things happening in the motorcycle world or the Mama Tried Flat Out Friday world, but really for us, it was a big deal.
I agree. Well, before we begin, Scott, the timeline of our weekend. I listened to the last podcast. Did you?
No, I didn't.
I have a few points.
Okay.
I talk too much.
Well, it's a talking show.
I know. And now that I say that out loud, I realize how ridiculous that is. But I feel like I was talking too much. So during this podcast, I'm going to try to talk less.
No. As your business partner, I'd advise against that.
Okay. Well, number two, I realize that our words have power.
Yeah.
And I have to be more conscious of the things that I say and the opinions that I express. Although I didn't say anything too controversial, I still can very easily upset some feathers.
Yeah. Did some feathers get ruffled?
I did.
Time?
I called Mark Martinich's bike a crappy bike. And he was really upset about that.
Unfair.
I am sorry. This is my formal apology to Mark Martinich. And if anybody has any other formal apologies that are needed, you can email me at www._.71.7625 at Flat Out Friday. You got that?
We'll repeat it at the end of the show.
Yes. All right. Well, Scott, for me, the weekend started.
Wait, let's tell the audience what happened last weekend for the people for the people at home. Let's zoom way out.
Go ahead, zoom out.
American Flat Track (AFT) is it's the NBA of flat track racing, and they have a summer tour, a summer schedule, and they're nearing the end of the schedule, and they added a race this year in northern Wisconsin, which is right outside of New Richmond, Wisconsin, which is right outside of Minneapolis. And they invited us to come and sort of help out with promotion and run a hooligan race.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate description?
For sure. I was on my couch eating chips, and I got the call, and I jumped up, and the bag of chips flew off my chest, and I said, "Let's go and do this."
So that's what we did. So that was about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before the race. So there wasn't a ton of time, but I think it went really well, and we went up there, and I had a great time. I think a lot of people had a great time, in spite of the weather. The weather was not cooperative until Sunday, but I think it turned out to be a really great weekend.
I agree. If you would have told me on paper that what would have happened would have been a great time, I would not have gone. But experiencing it, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a negative, but there is no negative in that.
I mean, the thing with, for me personally, any kind of racing, whether it's car racing or motorcycle racing, really gets my heart racing, and that's no bullshit. Like I love watching racing, and I really enjoy watching AFT racing. So I was excited to go up there just as a fan, as a spectator, to sort of be a part of it and watch the race, because I really love watching them. I got to see the one in Rapid City as part when Sturgis was happening. Before that, I don't know. I think it was last season was the first time I got to see one. So it went really well, and I really hope that it would really be fun to do one again.
I agree with you. Let's focus a little bit before we get into a timeline. Describe that feeling, because I described the feeling too. When it's generally you're coming up over a hill and you get to see the track and the stands. To me, dirt track racing is so majestic.
That excitement.
And I have that. There was a podcast or I don't know what do you call it? I did a Facebook or Instagram thing.
Live
thing.
Yeah.
But it was edited. Facebook so that's live. A what?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was using this to describe myself, and I'm describing vibrating.
Yeah.
With with excitement to see a racetrack. Now, I've been to, bold statement, 50 dirt tracks in the United States. Maybe more than 75. How many dirt tracks do you think you've been to?
Races or
Just
actual
dirt,
locations?
Just dirt tracks, just racing tracks.
Oh, not nearly that many.
You don't know?
A dozen.
I'm trying to go to every dirt track in Wisconsin.
Wow.
Is my goal, every stock car track. Anyway,
Right.
that's not the point. The point is, this one get me extra juice because it's so well maintained, and
The bowl.
the bowl. Now visually it's great, but audibly, it really adds to the majesticness of the motorcycles being
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat track. I think it's one of the most high banked that I don't know AFT, but it's one of the most high banked flat track races.
I
motorcycle
don't know.
races.
I've heard about Volusia.
like
Was
that
it? Isn't
too.
Rapid City high banked?
It was, but not like this.
Okay.
And it's a little bit longer. It's more of a paperclip.
In Rapid City.
Yeah, no, in
Cedar Lake.
no, you're right. Rapid City is longer, a little bit more paperclip shaped. I saw Zaria Martins. She's from Milwaukee. She's part of the Build, Train, Race program, Royal Enfield. And she was talking about after the race. She had a great race, by the way. I don't know if you got to see that.
I saw it.
It was really awesome, and it was great racing. And she was saying, and this was really interesting, that she's like, if you can imagine, the corners are longer than the straightaways.
Here
right?
or in Rapid City?
No, not in Rapid City, but in New Richmond.
New Richmond. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
So because when we first got there, someone was saying like, this is a half mile. It doesn't look like a half mile.
Well, it's not. It was sold as a 3/8.
Okay, but the turns are so wide, right? So the speeds that they can keep up are really big. It's almost like the corners are made for like a mile, right? They're so broad and long. So that added to it too. And the banking, so the speeds were great. The racing was really fantastic. You just every single race, from the Enfield race to the singles to the production twins to the super twins, it was awesome. And the fans were at the edge of their seat. I got to watch from the stands with my family. My brother lives up there. My brother and his family, and I have an aunt and uncle, and a cousin lives up there. And they all got to come down, so it was great to just hang out in the stands with them and just watch, and watch how the fans reacted, and that was a lot of fun. But maybe we should back up.
Okay, well let's go. Let's stay linear.
Yeah.
Let's stay linear. I like that when you talk about the fans were stoked, because I don't always have that perspective when I'm running things. When I wasn't running, I didn't have a high responsibility just to get the hooligans to the track. A minimal responsibility that I took very seriously, but I was still wearing the cans or the headset and then taking them off. And all I noticed is hearing the track. I'm not connected with the fans, so I appreciate your perspective.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be out there and just kind of watch how that all went down.
All right, well, let's do a linear timeline. Thank you for zooming out, Scott. Sometimes I rush, so I'm zooming out. Thanks for zooming out. I'm zooming in now. I remember leaving Thursday night, and I rode my motorcycle. And I just, due to poor planning with transportation, because we had many shuttles leaving from Milwaukee, but
With racers and people that were going to be working at the track.
Yes, and our merch and our media team. I decided to ride my motorcycle, and I was pretty cool in the 40s, low 50s, which is cool. And I don't have any riding gear. If you know anything about me, everything I have is half-assed. Bold statement.
And so I have some like tube socks over your hands and your unheated grips.
Yeah, they're unheated, and I had giant snowboarding gloves, and my hands barely fit around the grips. And then
at least you brought those.
Yeah, and I kept trying to. I thought I was turning the cruise control on, but I kept turning the volume up, so I was blaring music. Anyway, I decided to pull over at a cheap hotel in the Dells.
This was Thursday night.
Thursday night. I'd recommend the place. It was very nice. Cleopatra's Spa.
That's actually what it's called.
Yeah, it was very friendly staff.
So wait, just take a minute. So if you open up hotels tonight, the first thing that comes up is Cleopatra's.
No, if you're on the side of the road and you Travelocity, Wisconsin Dells tonight, sort by price, Cleopatra's will be first.
Okay, wait a minute. What's it called again?
Cleopatra Spa and Spring Inn Suites. I think is what it was. Spring Hill Suites.
And you were like, that place sounds nice.
Yeah, and then but why?
And you're like, oh, maybe they have a pool.
They had a pool, but it was cold, and I got in at like 11 at night. But
Okay.
but they had a cabin, so you could get a room or a cabin. I was like, a cabin for $40. It's pretty great, and it was. It was every bit $40. Like, I think they could have went 45.
Were the sheets clean?
No.
Did they have
no,
light?
no. I'm sorry. If Cleopatra's watching right now, the sheets were clean,
Okay.
and the heater worked,
Okay.
and the shower was hot.
All right.
And what else do you need?
What else do you need? Some wrapped in plastic cups, an ashtray.
Oh, I don't think it was those things either. And there was
An ice bucket?
cable TV.
Okay.
I don't know where the ice machine was. Anyway, like Cleopatra's, and it was great. And I woke up, and it's fun taking a motorcycle trip, being like yourself, be by yourself. And I mean, I live with kids and a wife, and I'm not alone a lot. So
Right.
it was great. It's good to be alone on this journey
Right.
to New Richmond, another 3 hours north.
And then how much further from
Yeah,
the Dells?
about another 3 hours. But of course, I never looked at a radar, and of course, I have no rain gear, except for Danger Dan's recommendation of waxing my jeans and jacket. And I was following the weather, and it was gonna rain.
And it did rain?
Well, I got up this morning, that morning, or Friday morning, and I rode through the side roads. And I don't know if you know this, Scott, but it's really fun to ride a motorcycle on side highways. Anybody ever tell you that?
No, I never heard that before.
And then you get on the freeway, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I drove the freeway up there, and I tried to beat this storm, and I got there. But here's the kicker. I took off my helmet, stretched my legs, and I noticed that our media team, Logan and
You're
Evan,
at the track.
I'm at the track. Right to the track. About 11 in the morning, I got there. And Logan and Evan were in line ahead of me, getting their pit pass. And, he's got a nice car, probably a 2019
Something.
Jeep with heated seats. And I could barely talk. My lips are still chapped, right? And I said, you guys drove here? Like, yeah, dumbass, you organized this trip. And it's misty
great.
rain. Right now it's misty rain. It's freezing cold. I don't have a car to sit in. Anyway, it was a little bit rough just getting there, and I wish I could have planned it better. That's my only regret of this whole weekend, and it's
It was
all
it was raining when
on
you got
me.
to the track, misting when you got to
It
the
was
track on
misty,
Friday.
yeah.
Okay.
It was poopy.
Shit. Well, and that sort of set the tone for the weather for the weekend,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Tell me about your Thursday. Didn't you do something?
Well, I drove. Yeah, I left early and I drove my van up. I put my my dirt bike in the back of my van and I drove up and got to my brother's. My brother lives in Minneapolis. I think I said that earlier. My brother and his wife. They live in town, in the city, and I hung out with them on Friday night. Had a great time hanging out. They made dinner and we just hung out.
Are you an uncle? Is there a nephew or a niece?
Oh yeah, my niece was there. She came home from work and had dinner with us. So yeah, my brother Todd, my sister-in-law Maria, and my niece Annika, and it was great. I don't get to see them that often, so it was really fun to hang out. And then on Friday morning, my brother Todd and I got up early. Well, we loaded up everything on Thursday night, and we drove up to Namaji, which is like 20 minutes outside of Duluth.
South of Duluth?
Yeah,
So that's a 2-hour drive?
yeah, 2-hour drive from Minneapolis, and we went riding in the woods, and it was great with my cousin Carl. I don't get to see him that often. He's a great motorcyclist, and he does a lot of road riding.
So there was a Johnson family
The
experience.
Johnson family
The
trip.
three of you.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
rode all day on Friday.
Tell me about your skills, Scott, out there in the woods.
I'm not too proud. I did the math, and I realized that it's been 5 years since I've been on a dirt bike in the woods.
Okay.
So my skills were pretty rusty. By the end of the day, I had, regained 30% of where I was at 5 years ago.
Okay.
But, it's better than 10%. So, and I had a really great time.
Well, besides that the oldest statement you just said to remind us that we're old was my niece got off of work. that's one I can't swallow.
Yeah.
But Warren, if he was here with us today, if he was alive today, he'd love to have been with us.
He's alive.
I'm just kidding. He's alive and he's here. We're in his studio.
Yeah.
This is
at the studio at his shop.
The Warren Hire studio at his shop at the Waste Bin of Lead. But he's been busy working and with family stuff. As you know, this is a drag on our personal lives and family lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure Warren would have had an interesting perspective to have been with us. But that takes us through the timeline to Friday. You rode and you jumped in your van near Duluth and you rode to New Richmond.
Yep. We got unloaded the bikes. I got back in and went and met you guys at at a bar.
So we were waiting for the AFT race, and from a perspective of the hooligans, they got the track dried, they got it race ready.
So Friday was supposed to be practice day.
Yes, it was supposed to be a practice day.
And ordinarily in the world of flat track racing, there's not ordinarily a practice day.
I'm gonna guess they did a practice day because it was a new track.
Right.
And so they wanted
everyone to get used to it.
They wanted to put on the best show.
Right.
If you're playing a new hall, to me this is all rock and roll. If you're playing a new hall, you take the sound check a little extra serious, right?
Okay.
But if you played, the arena every year, you're like,
it's good enough.
we can skip sound check.
Right.
But this one, they wanted to put on the best shows. They did a Friday practice, or they tried to do a Friday practice, and it was just poopy. It was the perfect poopy. Meaning, you would almost
just
wish
misting enough.
You wish it would just almost rain,
Right.
right? Or you just wish it would just stop raining. Like, it was just right on that edge of like, almost. It was just right on that edge of we're almost going to save it, just to keep us on the edge of our seats the whole time.
How frustrating.
It was very frustrating. But I remember we snuck away, went to a bar and had a pizza. There's a nice bar, the Outpost,
In
2
New
miles away
Richmond,
in New
yeah.
Richmond. Yep.
All right.
And we got back, and then it started to rain. We could predict it, but there's that inevitable time where you're waiting
Right.
for it to predict. I went around the pits at that time, and I was trying to do some interviews and try to get some action, some content.
Right.
And
How did they like your bit?
they didn't like my bits. I did a bit of 5 questions about Minneapolis, and people didn't get
Like doing
one.
some like man on the street things.
Yes, trying to do some man on the street things, and I thought I was doing pretty well. Let me just real quick. I'm just gonna name the Twin Cities. Can you name the Twin Cities? You can't name the Twin Cities. Am I? Am I?
Isn't St. Louis one?
Okay. We're fast forwarding this podcast.
Point made.
Okay, that was question 1. Okay, and it
Where are we?
Name
Name the Twin Cities.
today. Went down from there. Okay, well that bit obviously.
And it
didn't
wasn't
hit.
like who's the lieutenant governor.
Yeah, no. Okay, so the bit didn't work, and I saw it. Like, oh, maybe that bit didn't work. I'll ask another rider because I wanted to do interviews, but I didn't want to ask about motorcycles.
Okay.
But when you see racers and they have the dedication and the time, that's all they want to talk about, right? I'm not making fun of them. It's just a slap in the face of like, what a dick I am to not respect the efforts that they have. I think that's how they see it,
Okay.
right? And by the way, I expressed that at the riders meeting, and I'll express it again, and I think I've expressed it to the last time, that Flat Out Friday, or myself or our organization never wants to change what happens on the track. That is a beautiful experience. You and I racing together.
Sacred.
For 9th. But bumping and rubbing, or even winning, that's sacred stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's enhanced if you have a better relationships in the pits.
Right.
So I would never disrespect that, but I think it's a little fuzzy for some people that don't disrespect racing by smiling.
Like telling jokes.
Yes. Well, it didn't go well, so we left there, and then we went to downtown New Richmond, which I said last time was a fun town.
You did. You said even before, I had never been before, and you said, this is a fun town. You're going to like it. And you were right.
It's the Wisconsin town of dive bars, 10 dive bars in 2 blocks.
Right.
And so when we got canceled, we set a goal of hitting every bar and having a beer at every bar. And it's good to have goals, as I tell my children.
And how'd you guys do?
Well, we found a spot. This is the danger of setting such a goal. You find a spot, you settle in at it, and then we settled in and we waited for you and you met us there. We had a
Yeah.
nice dinner.
What was the name of the place? The Wisconsin.
It was the old saloon.
The old saloon.
Yep.
It was great. It was a
In
beautiful
Richmond.
place.
Mhm.
Food was good.
I had a beer cheese dip and a salad.
Soup. I think it was soup.
Well, that's debatable. And you had
A
the
fish fry.
giant fish. And I think someone had fish tacos and so on and so forth. And it was a great meal we had there. And we got in our hotels, about a half-hour drive
Yep.
to New Richmond.
In New Hudson.
Oh, Hudson, sorry. And what did we do then? That Friday night?
I think we were all kind of knackered. We had a couple drinks in the room and everybody
Whoa.
hit the sack.
Knackered? I've never heard that word. But I know what it means because I have context. But I've never heard the word knackered.
Yes.
Really? We just went to bed?
I think so. Dude, you were the most tired. You went to bed first.
Oh, sorry. Well,
Remember? Because Kara and Mary were coming up.
oh, my wife were gone. I went by myself.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So you had to go get the room ready. Sprinkle the rose petals.
Yes. Well, my kid and my son and my wife arrived. Got there.
Okay.
And I remember that about 1 a.m. And then we woke up and it was your idea to go out for breakfast.
Yeah. Took the crew out for breakfast because it was going to be a late start anyway.
Well, and the crew had joined us through the night.
Yes.
So Kevin, our DJ from Toledo, had joined us. Liv, our new crew member Steph,
Yep.
and Logan.
And Evan and Logan.
And Evan,
Our
and Logan, our
photographers.
photographers in video.
Yep.
Met us there. So we were in full throat
Yep.
by Friday, Saturday morning.
When we went to Denny's
Went to Denny's.
and had a big breakfast.
Yeah. You have the Hopple Popple?
Oh, they didn't have that there.
No. You and I on Friday night went to Culver's.
Oh, we did. We
Yeah.
went and got ice cream.
Woo. Settle down.
Yeah. Party action.
I
Okay,
got-
but anyway, we went out for breakfast
Yes.
and we had a nice sort of team meeting, get everyone on the same page about what was going to be happening that day.
Mm-hmm.
And what time was it? Was like the riders meeting was supposed to be what, noon?
I think we had
and they
to
were
be
gonna-
checked in. Yeah, we had to be like the photographers had a meeting at 1. We wanted to be there by noon.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the program was supposed to start at what, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock?
Bikes on the track at 3:30.
And then gates at 5, and then the
Yep.
show starts at 7.
Yep. And we got there and they were drying the track. And it had rained and it was pushed back a delay. And then they got the Super Twins out there for practice. Where were you at that time? Did you see any of that?
No, remember we had some awards kerfuffle, so I was like
Yes.
on the hunt for some things to give out as awards. I found a couple cans of soup.
So you never saw any bikes on Saturday?
I heard them. I left.
Where were you?
I
At
was
the soup
yeah.
store? At the soup store? You heard them?
No, I feel like I was there on Saturday in my van. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe that was Sunday. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we forgot awards.
Yep.
And when we
All
quickly
right.
tried to get some.
Yeah. So we put something together.
Mm-hmm.
But while I went to Hudson to try to sort that out, in the meantime, they had dried out the track, put a whole bunch of vehicles on it, rode on it,
They did
drove on it for
a
a
great
couple
job.
hours. They did a great job, valiant effort,
Mm-hmm.
and they got it sort of dried out, and they had a couple practice sessions, and it started pouring again.
Yes. It never. This is the thing. It never poured during the day. It just was this crappy mist that eventually overcame, and then they called it maybe about 8 o'clock at night.
No, they called it earlier than that.
Really?
Yeah, it was like at 5 o'clock, 5:30.
And I remember our people were scattered about then. I remember our team was scattered. We got our photographers. We got Cameron Smith, who isn't part of our
Merch
crew.
people.
But he's part of our extended
Our
family,
team,
and
yeah.
Jeffrey Carver. And if we were in town and we're together, we kind of want to extend a hand to come hang out with us. And now we had a day off. I learned very young that, or throughout that day, that Carver and Cameron were still in race mode.
Yeah,
Just because the race is paused, they don't have
doesn't
no
mean
time.
that their
They're
brains
still,
are not. Yeah.
their brains are still in race mode, and I respect that. I respect it even more after offering them the vices of hanging with us, and they denied it. I really appreciate that, you guys. You're
Yeah.
professionals.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember our team was scattered in the wind. We set a taco joint as a rally point
In New Richmond.
in New Richmond.
And it
Voodoo
worked. It was
Taco.
like, what was it called? Voodoo?
Mhm. Voodoo Street. It's called Voodoo Street Food,
Okay.
and we took the place over.
That was great.
Hmm.
Had a great time. Chef was a little miffed.
Chef was not happy with us, but we drank him out of beer.
Yep. And we ate him out of lobster tacos.
Yep. And I made the executive decision that we're not going to drink here. There's too many of us drinking and partying already. Let's drop off our cars in New Richmond or in Hudson
at the hotel. Get some Ubers and go into Hudson proper.
and check out their downtown.
Yeah. And we did.
And we did. And we had a beer at every bar.
Or 5.
It's good to have goals, and we achieved that goal. Now, it gets a little fuzzy for me, but I do remember waking up the next day and hearing people watching videos of me. Do you have a copy of this video?
I don't. I did see it. I was there, but I have no memory of this.
I have a memory of these things. I don't remember doing this, but the point is, I have a video of me standing on a mailbox giving a writers' meeting to the town of Hudson. And if anybody sees this, I want you to know that should not be on my permanent record, and that it was meant in jest. And I want to go a little deeper on that. I'm somewhat proud, yet embarrassed. I'm proud that I can go on autopilot on your stem cell of vocalization and not say anything offensive. And I wasn't rude or nasty. You know, people drink. I never want to be one of those guys where like, oh, Jeremy's drinking. You know, watch out for the cat.
Yeah.
Put the goat away. He's on one again. No, you're gonna get what a good looking crowd and anybody here from Beloit. And that's what you got, good people of Hudson.
It was a good time.
Yes, we had a
really, really, really good time. It's nice to be able to go out with the crew and enjoy ourselves and, you know, put all the recording equipment away and just just let our hair down a little bit and get out of work more.
And that's why we have a good crew, by the way.
Yeah.
They hang well.
Yep.
That's why they're part of our crew.
They're good socially together. They're good in work-wise together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have
Shout out to
good
our
chemistry.
crew. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, everyone.
So then we knew it was going to be race day on Sunday because the weather report was saying it was great. And we woke up that morning and you knew it was going to be great.
It's a glorious day. Sun was streaming down. Temperatures it dried out, and it was a really great day.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we need to get into so much the racing.
No.
The racing was great.
Yeah.
And to hear them full throat screaming. There's practices, and then the hooligans came out, and it's powerful for me as an organizer to unleash this matador crew. And that sounds arrogant, like I'm in control, because every one of these hooligans that came is a talented individual that spends a lot of time and effort hooliganing, and I should take no credit for what they do. But they were riding there under our name.
Yep.
And I was really proud to show them.
They did, and they did great. They put on a great show.
Mm-hmm.
They rode really well, really fast. The lap times were insane.
Dave Kilkenny got down to 17.9, which Production Twins, I'm going to guess the lead pack is, I don't know if they got into the 16s, but
almost.
7.2.
Yeah.
So they're half a second. Dave Kilkenny's half a second off on a
Production Twins.
But he's
on a Sportster.
I don't think it's stock, but
it's a 1200.
Would a 1200 be faster than an 883 on a situation like that?
I don't know. I've heard differing things.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say the 883s are faster,
mm-hmm.
but it just depends. But Dave was on fire. Speaking of Dave,
Cody Funk, Scott Jones was on fire.
Yeah. Jeremy DeRuyter
was on fire.
He nailed it off the line.
Yes. Mac McGrew. Some standouts on speed. Josh Young from Ohio was crushing it. I think, and I got to mention the flip side. I think
Josh McDonald.
I think Josh McDonald, actually, Terry Vestal couldn't get the feel of it, or Lowell Bronson couldn't get the feel. You talked about how the track was to speed. I think to the stock hooligans, that hitting that wall of that turn upset the bikes enough to freak them out. Right? When you're hitting that embankment, I think it didn't freak them out mentally. It freaked out the bike.
Right.
It gave them a little kerfuffle.
Well, I think that's what's great about flat track racing is like on any given day, right? If it was Saturday night, maybe it would have been Josh or Terry's night, or Lowell's night.
Yeah.
Right. You just never know with flat track racing. It could be, and on any given day, it could be it's someone's day to be on the podium.
And with those lap times being so close, for sure.
Yeah. So I think, and that was what was great about all the racing. I mean, I really want to talk about the hooligans most, but all the classes that were run at in the AFT, the singles, the BTR, the production twins, and the super twins. They were just it was really, really fantastic, exciting racing every lap.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a freight train in any of those contests. It was there was a race for whatever place it was,
mm-hmm.
and whatever group was there, where they were trading the lead, trading 5th, 6th, trading
mm-hmm.
7th and 8th, all the way around. It was great. It was really great racing.
I think because they have that timed system in those mains, once you saw those 2 laps to go, is when you just felt the energy change of now people were jockeying for positions.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I just was gonna comment that I really enjoyed it. I really loved watching it.
During the hooligan main, I remember Jeremy Droiter came out quick and had the lead for 7 laps, and at the white flag, Dave dove it in deep, and I love to see Dave be aggressive like that. Dave dove it in deep. You see that, and he just bumped Droiter a little bit off his game and took the lead. And then I think Droiter got out of his groove, and then he tossed it. What do you call it? He high-sided it.
Yeah,
he rolled over the rear of Cody Funk, who was in second place.
But he was pushing. All those guys were pushing super hard.
Yep. And then Droiter actually high-sided and got hurt, and he's okay now. He's okay.
I'm really glad that
he's
okay. Yeah, it was a really rough get-off. It looked pretty bad.
And he's okay, and I remember even seeing Dave, like, Dave, wasn't that great? And he's like, I can't celebrate until I know Jeremy's okay, which is a testament what a great dude Dave is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He just won the race, and he just wants to talk about the guy that crashed.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome race, and Dave really pushed. Dave didn't get the best start. He usually gets really good starts, and he didn't get the best start on this one, so he had to fight his way.
I don't know if you know this. He bumped up against Josh Young, and he ripped his leather. He ripped the leather zipper off.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So he, pulled the You have a zipper.
Yeah.
He stripped the zipper.
No way.
On his arm, so he got hung up on that start.
Oh wow.
But let's talk about the other classes, and let's talk a little bit about the AFT. And I have to say that I guess this isn't really necessarily any insider information, but being inside of that headset, it's a very well run organization. I've had experiences with AFT in the past, and I've copied many things that they do. One of which is having the I'm not sure who is the voice in the sky or the voice in the
overseeing the whole
operation, but it's just really professional and well done. And I know that there's comments that AFT is a joke is a phrase I hear, and I just couldn't be more opposite with what a professional organization that it is, and the seriousness they take safety and the timeliness of the show. They're doing the best they can with the elements that they had, and I was really impressed.
Yeah, I think it's different. We run mostly indoor, right? Or indoor when we can, not always, but AFT, and it as an outdoor promoter too. We've all done outdoor events, and how nerve-wracking that can be when the weather isn't cooperative, and trying to run a practice, trying to run qualifying, and if those small things don't go off, it it pushes the whole program back, right? And it just complicates everything, and you're already on your back foot, right? From the get-go. And so I feel like they handled it really well, and really great people in that organization.
For sure.
I give them a lot of credit.
The scoring people, everyone I worked with was a professional and fantastic and welcoming and easy to work with. So I don't want to use the word very, but it was a wonderful experience for myself. And I would get the opportunity again. I hope that they have the same thing about us on their weekly podcast.
Yeah.
They're saying the same thing about
well, and
us.
I know it probably sounds to a lot of people like we're just blowing smoke because we want to work with them. But, it's like we are fans. I mean, the thing is about the AFT, right? If it wasn't the AFT, who would do it, right? Who would run it? This is the premier class of flat track racing. They set the tone internationally for what flat track racing is. They the rules that they make, the way that the program is run, the technique, the style, the riders, the racers, the way it's done, that sets a tone in the world for how flat track racing is run. And if AFT wasn't going to do it, I mean, who would do it? You know, it takes a huge organization to run that show. It's a huge circus of people, and track prep workers, and the people who put up all the sound system and the staging, and do the timing and get everyone's credentials. It's a really big operation. I mean, and working with the sponsors, it's a big operation, and I think, and there's a lot of moving parts, and I think you gotta give credit where credit's due. It's like they handle it really well, and there's a lot to look at, and us as promoters, we know what that's like, and I think they did it really well. I was really impressed.
Why don't they just do this, or why don't they just do that? And that's the comment that I hear a lot. And seeing it, I have just a whole absolute new perspective. Is how hard it is to wrangle.
Yeah.
And then I forgot my point.
No. Well, we all have points, right? We all have things. We talked about this when we all. Yeah. When we were driving back, we all have the things that we wish that they would do differently, right? We wish that when they came to a town that there would be privateers that could compete, and to see if anybody could make the mains, like how it used to be, right? We wish that that there was more to bring the fans out, but it is what it is. I mean, I know that, like, looking in the stands, I mean, a lot of the fans look like me. I'm mid-50s. It's mostly dudes. It's mostly older guys, but and the racers are young, and we're trying to get. We as promoters are trying. Of course, we want to get more young people involved in racing, coming to races. It's not that easy, and I know that AFT has the best of intentions, but you can't do everything, and you're never going to make every decision correctly and do everything right.
You can criticize little bits and pieces, but I would stand close to them if someone had, I'm offended when it's like it's just a joke. Like we should throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak.
Exactly.
That it's just all crap. No, they're really trying to maneuver this modern world, too, by the way. I think that's the greatest thing that we do as promoters is getting people active to do anything, to get away from your phones. When you have the world at your fingertips, why would you leave your couch?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And
they do a lot to keep racers involved, to put out a broadcast, to get fans in seats. It's a multi-pronged job. I mean, I'm not saying that they do everything correctly, right? We can be critics too, but I feel like sometimes people just give them a bad rap, and there's room for improvement, but I think that they do, they're obviously doing the best that they can, and they have great talented people, and we're all learning, right?
Sure, because I think everything you just said you could say about our organization.
100%, and I'm thinking of us every single time. Every single time.
Room for improvement.
I mean, whenever we do a show, whenever we do a race, right, we always make these lists of like, we could have done this better, we could have done that better. So that's as promoters, like we're always your own worst critic, and I'm sure that they think about this stuff too.
Well, that's what happened over the weekend. It was a positive experience. AFT, again, I wanted to summarize with this, a point that we were making when we were driving back, that AFT is still very much culturally relevant. Without AFT, there would be no reason for young kids on 50s to aspire to be something great.
Right. Or like when we go to Brazil or when we go to Indonesia, how many people tune in to those live broadcasts to watch those races? Because they genuinely are hyper focused on what's happening here in the States. And I think that when you're a race fan in the States, you forget like how much internationally it's, people are really paying attention to how it's done and who's on the track. And I think we as racers and promoters look at it as such a smaller thing because we're so close to it, and we forget the the ripples it has around the world. So, and I think people are stoked on it.
I agree. Well, in conclusion, I'm concluding. Hooligans did a great race. Thank you. Our team did a great job.
Hooligans did a great job.
AFT, thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was a great time. Super great time.
I want to end though on the things our thing never stops. Mama Tried Flat on Friday never stops.
Right. Right.
What do we got going on coming up here?
Well, we were supposed to be in Indonesia this weekend for Custom Fest, so we're bummed that we're missing that. I don't know if this is going to make the light of day, but hopefully it'll make the light of day before this weekend. But if you're tuning in to social media, watch Custom Fest. It's in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. We really wish we were there. It's a huge Moon Eyes-esque, Southeast Asian car, motorcycle, bicycle, custom.
The word huge just doesn't have, you could say, for example, that Born Free is huge.
Right.
This is more huger.
much more huger.
And
Yeah.
it's not only, Born Free, again, I'm using that as the pinnacle.
And Born Free is great, and it is huge.
Yes. It's the pinnacle of customized motorcycling.
Right.
But this takes that. And
Or the
then
one show. Like imagine
both of
the
them, yes,
one show.
are the pinnacle, the top-notch custom motorcycle shows in the United States.
Right.
But Custom Fest, which I haven't been yet, but I know now, I feel like I know Indonesian culture. It's the same with cars.
Right.
It's the same with bicycles, breakdancing, street, like decorating your shoes.
Right.
Custom Fest. Custom means everything custom.
Paintwork, yeah.
Customizing your life, and the word custom means much more in Indonesia than it means to us.
Yeah.
So anyway, Custom Fest is this weekend. Maybe we'll do a broadcast about that next time.
Yeah, they're going to present, our friends in Indonesia are going to present a Best of Show award for Mom Tried and Flat Out Friday, so we're excited about that, and we'll have more on that next week.
Custom Fest with a K, if you're looking it up.
K-U-S-T-O-M.
It sounds like it would be a simple Google, but it's not if we do it with a K.
Yeah, and it's not in Jakarta, it's in Yogyakarta.
Which is
which
where?
is
Nowhere near
not
Jakarta?
in Jakarta.
Okay.
We're still figuring out Indonesian geography. It's a big country.
1,700 islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard 2,800.
Oh.
So.
Up for debate. We also have here locally, we have a Mama Tried Flat Out Friday takeover of our home track, Astalon.
Yeah.
Hopefully this sees the light of day and you realize that our event was rained out and got pushed back to October 1st, just the 1st. There is nothing related for Flat Out Friday on the 2nd, but there is the Elkhorn race here.
Cushion
Limestone.
Limestone cushion track in Elkhorn, which is great fun.
Used to be a national.
Did it used to be a national?
Yeah.
Wow.
You weren't around then?
No.
No.
I mean, I might have been, but.
Well,
You mean in the 90s?
no. So the Astalon takeover, which means what? What does that mean to you, Scott?
Flat Out Friday, Mama Tried kind of puts their style on it, kind of runs the race. So it's really just a more floral, if you will, District 16 race, right?
I'd say more welcoming.
Right.
We have this event so that hopefully newcomers come. If you've never been to the race, come check out this event. There'll be more people like you, more beginners, more novices. It's intimidating to go to a flat track race. It's intimidating to go to any event for the first time.
Yeah.
And you're on the outside looking in.
Not understanding the nomenclature, the sign-up process, registration. How do you pit? How do you line
Yes.
up? The other thing I think a lot of people don't understand, maybe if you don't race flat track, there's nowhere to go practice flat track. There's nowhere to go, at least not in Wisconsin, there's no practice days at our track days for flat track. So the way that we all learned flat track was to enter flat track races and be the noob, be the kook, and make mistakes, and that's how we all learn. I'm not saying that's the way it always should be, but that's just the way it is right now.
Sure. I think I saw somewhere a little play on the prayer, and it said something like, Lord, grant me the position to suck at something new. And my point is, come on out, try it, and you will be welcome, surprisingly welcome if you come to a flat track race. Not only as a participant, but also as a spectator. If you just don't even know the nomenclature, stand up next to the fence with a beer and someone will help you out.
Yeah, so that's Saturday, October 1st. And the gates open at what time?
2
Okay.
noon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the
Noon.
race program
Starts at
proper
5.
starts at 5, right?
Correct, because there's hours of practice and riders meetings and stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's it then for this week of October or September. What are we at? September 27th?
7th. Yeah. So good
Okay.
job. Thanks everyone.
Thanks for coming.
to the Mama Tried Flat Out Friday podcast. We'll see you next week. I'm Scott,
My name's Jeremy.
and we'll see you next time. Thank you.